A month ago, Robert Bennett pounded on our apartment door, drunk and screaming. The police dragged him away as neighbors stared. I watched the man who terrorized us finally exposed. That broke the illusion. Millie and I had moved 3 times, documenting everything. We used to flinch, now we planned. Our silence protected him, not anymore. That night, I knew we were never going back. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. When I was 10, Robert yanked my report card from my hands and ripped it up, calling me stupid. I'd worked so hard. Millie tried to defend me, but Mom told her to stop causing drama. I learned then keeping quiet avoided punishment. Robert's smirk burned into me. That was the day silence became survival. Millie began hiding books under her bed. I started apologizing for everything. We weren't daughters, we were shadows. At 13, I wore shorts on a hot day. Robert leered and told me to cover up like a proper girl. I froze. Millie slammed the fridge door, yelling at him. He laughed and left. Mom blamed Millie for provoking him. I started wearing sweaters year-round. That day Millie told me, "We're not crazy, they are, but we still stayed." I still hoped he'd change. That hope made me weak and him stronger. By 16, Evan had started echoing Robert mocking Millie, yelling at me. One night Robert threw a chair at the wall when dinner was late. I cleaned the mess while Mom pretended nothing happened. Mr. Parker, my English teacher, asked about the bruise. I lied. I always lied. Millie whispered, "We need to leave." But where could we go with no money and a mother who denied everything during a school play? Robert didn't show. I felt relief then guilt. Later, he accused me of dressing like a slut on stage. Millie grabbed my hand as I cried in the hallway. Aunt Dorothy called once, sensing something, but Mom insisted everything was fine. Jason, Millie's boyfriend, warned her to stay away from drama. That night, I realized even love could be another mask for silence. Robert smashed Millie's phone when he found messages she'd sent me about leaving. Mom didn't say a word. Evan laughed. I locked myself in the bathroom and texted Millie from my school tablet. "We're not safe," I wrote. She replied. Soon that night, I watched her pack a bag. I asked, "Will you really go?" She nodded. "And I'm taking you with me." On the night before Millie's graduation, Robert hit her for wearing lipstick, blood on the bathroom mirror. I wiped it while she packed again. Aunt Dorothy offered to talk to our parents. Millie refused. "They know," she said. "They just don't care." I finally asked her if she believed we could live without fear. She said, "We won't know until we try." I believed her. Robert grabbed my wrist during dinner when I reached for the salt hard. Everyone froze. I pulled away shaking. He stood towering. Millie threw her plate at the wall. "We're done," she said. I followed her out the door without looking back. Jason waited in his truck. I sat beside her, clutching a backpack. That night we left. Not just the house, the life we survived. At Jason's apartment, I slept on the floor beside Millie. She kept her shoes on, keys in hand. We weren't safe yet. The next morning, Robert texted non-stop threats. Begging lies. Millie blocked him. I hesitated. "What if he finds us?" I whispered to Jason. Said, "Then we'll be ready." That was the first time I believed protection didn't have to come with pain. Millie filed a restraining order. I watched her hands shake while signing. I added my name. At school, I met with Mr. Parker. I told him the truth, every detail. He cried. He reported it. That night, police visited our old house. Evan messaged me, calling me a traitor. But I'd already chosen. Silence protected them. My voice protected us. The first crack in their shield had split wide open. Mom called, voice trembling. "You've ruined everything." I hop. Jason helped us install new locks. Aunt Dorothy brought groceries. I unpacked slowly, shaking each item like it might explode. Millie painted our room blue. "New color, new rules," she said. I nodded. The day we got the court confirmation, I smiled without flinching. For once, my body didn't brace for violence. We were finally safe, at least physically. I thought the court order would stop him, but 2 weeks later, Robert found our building. He waited outside in his truck. I saw him from the window and froze. Millie called the cops. They came, warned him, left. At night, I cried in the bathtub shaking. "He'll always find us," I whispered. Millie said, "Then we keep moving until he doesn't." That night, I packed without her asking. We were no longer running, we were navigating. Our next apartment had cameras and a security gate. Still, I flinched at every knock. Millie got a second job. I stayed up researching trauma. Mr. Parker connected me with a youth advocate. They told me what happened wasn't my fault. I wanted to believe them. Then Evan posted a video of me crying years ago. Robert must have filmed it. "Drama queen." The caption read. It went viral. My old classmates laughed. My shame spread like wildfire. Millie wanted to sue, but our lawyer said it'd drag forever. I deleted my socials. Aunt Dorothy offered to talk to Evan. He refused. Jason suggested we make our own video. "You control the story," he said. I hesitated. Then I remembered Robert's smirk. We filmed in Millie's room. Raw honest. I showed my face. "This is who I am," I said. That night, I didn't cry. I watched the upload bar complete and exhaled. The video hit 10,000 views overnight. Comments poured in, stories like ours. One girl messaged, "I thought I was alone." I replied, "You're not." But then came the threats, fake accounts, photoshopped images. Millie wanted to take it down. I said no, they were scared of truth. I told her. Mr. Parker emailed, saying he'd shared it at a school assembly. Our story wasn't just survival, it was proof. Even in fear, we were making noise. A reporter reached out. We debated it for days. Finally, we said yes on our terms. The article went live with our names, photos, and a headline that read, "Sisters break generational silence." Robert's employer saw it. He was suspended. Aunt Dorothy texted, "Proud of you." I felt exposed but powerful. That night, we lit a candle for every year we'd kept quiet. 17 flames, each one a scar, each one now a beacon. Jason moved out, saying he needed space. Millie cried for days. I comforted her like she did for me. "You can still love him and leave," I said. She smiled weakly. Then Mom called, begging us to come home. "We're family," she said. I said, "Family protects, not punishes." She hung up. I didn't cry. We weren't healing because they changed, we were healing because we stopped waiting for them to. Evan showed up at my school parking lot. I froze. He said he just wanted to talk. I didn't answer. The principal saw and intervened. Security escorted him away. I filed another report. Aunt Dorothy helped me apply for a transfer. Millie supported me, silent but steady. That night, I punched my pillow until I couldn't lift my arms. "I'm done being scared," I whispered. Fear had lived in my bones too long. We held a small gathering support group survivors. Mr. Parker, Aunt Dorothy. We read letters to our past selves, mine said. You're not crazy, you're not weak, you're not alone. Millie hugged me so tight my ribs ached. A girl from the video came. She'd left her stepfather because of our story. I looked at Millie. We did that, I said. She nodded, tears falling. For once, our pain had a purpose beyond endurance. I started therapy full-time. My new counselor, Bianca, was sharp and kind. She never flinched when I told her everything. That wasn't love, she said. I nodded. One day, I wore shorts again. No sweater, no fear. I walked to school past construction workers without shrinking. I still heard Robert's voice sometimes, but it no longer dictated my outfit. That was its own kind of victory. Not loud, not public, but mine. Unshaggably mine. Millie enrolled in community college. I helped her shop for books. She bought highlighters in every color. I'm gonna be the loudest student in every class, she said. I laughed. Our world had shifted from surviving to building. At night, we made dream boards. Mine had a bookstore, a cat, and a calm mind. She pinned a courtroom and a gavel. I want justice, she said. We weren't just escaping anymore, we were aiming. The school hosted a wellness week. Mr. Parker asked me to speak. My palms sweated the whole time. I almost backed out. Then I saw a girl with the same nervous eyes I used to have. I spoke for her after. She hugged me. I told my counselor, she whispered. One sentence, one change. I texted Millie. It worked. She replied with a heart emoji. For once, our voices weren't just noise, they were anchors. Evan was arrested for assault outside a bar. The local news covered it. They mentioned his family background us. People started connecting dots. I expected shame. Instead, our inbox filled with messages from people saying they believed us now. Sorry for not seeing it. One raid. I screenshoted it for Millie. She said. They needed proof. We gave them survival. I didn't forgive them. But I understood. Truth doesn't need everyone, it just needs enough. Millie got a tattoo, 3 birds flying upward. Each one of us, she said. I pointed at the biggest. That's you, she smiled. I wasn't ready for ink yet, but I bought a journal with birds on the cover. I wrote every day, not about pain but about possibility. I wrote names of people who helped. Bianca, Mr. Parker, Dorothy, myself. I underlined that last one twice. I was tired of surviving. I wanted to fly. We testified in a closed hearing against Robert. The room felt like ice. He didn't look at us once. The judge listened. Our advocate held my hand. Afterward, the judge granted a permanent order of protection. Outside, Millie lit a match and burned a copy of the first police report. Not forgotten, she said. Just done. We exhaled together. The past didn't disappear, but it no longer dictated the next chapter. That was ours now. I visited our old neighborhood one afternoon, just once. The house looked smaller. The porch where Robert screamed now held plastic flowers. I didn't knock. I just stood on the sidewalk and whispered goodbye. A kid across the street waved. I waved back. That version of me, the scared, silent one, deserved a proper send-off. You survived, I said aloud. Then I turned around. I had no reason to go back. Only forward. On the anniversary of our escape, we hosted a dinner. Just us, Aunt Dorothy, Mr. Parker, Bianca. Laughter bounced off the walls. Millie gave a toast. To every girl who thought she couldn't leave, look at us now. I added. To every silence we shattered. Bianca gifted me a necklace, 3 tiny birds in flight. I wore it every day after. Not to remember the pain but to celebrate the flight, our freedom. 6 months into therapy, I noticed I apologized less. I didn't flinch when doors slammed. I wore colors again. Millie said, you're louder in the best way. I smiled. My journal entries shifted from fear to plans. I was no longer hiding. The past still echoed, but I chose what volume to give it. Some days quiet, some days loud, but always my choice. That was everything. Millie started a podcast about survival. I was the first guest. My voice cracked, but I kept going. We aren't broken. We're rebuilding. She played it for our support group. One woman cried, another hugged me. That night, I added another line to my journal. Healing isn't quiet. I read it twice, then I wrote it in bold. If our pain had a voice, so did our power. Jason texted Millie months later just to check in. She didn't reply. I asked why. Because I don't owe him peace, she said. I understood. Forgiveness wasn't required for closure. That evening, we made a bonfire. Burned old clothes, photos, letters. I tossed in a birthday card from Robert. It curled, blackened, vanished. I whispered goodbye. Closure wasn't neat, but it was enough, and enough was powerful. At the bookstore where I worked weekends, a girl came in with sleeves pulled over her fists. She bought a journal. As I rang her up, I said, writing helped me too. She blinked then nodded. We didn't say more. She left with the bag clutched to her chest. I hope she's filled those pages with strength. I hope she's one day speak, or scream, or fly. Robert violated the order again. This time, the judge had enough. He was sentenced to 6 months and mandatory counseling. Aunt Dorothy sat with us in court. Outside, people clapped, not for us but for the verdict. I didn't need cheers, just justice. Millie squeezed my hand. He's not our legacy, she said. And she was right. That day, we walked out taller. No whispers, no shame. We weren't just survivors, we were witnesses. Bianca invited me to co-lead a support circle for teens. I said yes. On the first night, I shared my story in parts, not everything, just enough. A girl cried, a boy nodded silently. After, they stayed, they talked. Millie made cookies. Mr. Parker donated books. The circle grew. Healing didn't just happen, it echoed. We'd broken our silence years ago. Now we were handing out megaphones. Our voices weren't just ours, they were medicine. On our 5th Independence Day, we threw a block party. No cake, just music, dancing, and stories. We toasted with lemonade. Millie read a letter to her past self. I read mine too. We made it. It ended. Mr. Parker smiled from the sidelines. Aunt Dorothy cried. As the sun set, I looked around at all the lives we touched. Our story didn't end with survival, that began with voice. And we never stopped speaking. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe to check out more stories on my channel.